Young and the Restless early spoilers March 31st to April 4th. Jack freaks over awful Alan and Billy's bad. On Wednesday, March 26th, Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, and Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, want to know how Phyllis Summers's, Michelle Stafford, talk with Sharon Newman, Sharon case, went. Phyllis says, they're not going to be friends, but they did bury the hatchet and are moving on. Summer and Nick are both quite proud of Red. And Nick admits he knows he played a role in their animosity. Phyllis said it took double death threats to get her to wake up and start taking steps in a new direction to let hate go, but she still wants the culprit caught. Phyllis and Sharon's trauma. Unmasking the kidnapper's identity on Young and the Restless. Phyllis even shockingly admits she no longer blames Sharon for framing Daniel Romalotti, Michael Graziadei. And she truly sees that Sharon was not in her right mind because of Ian Ward, Ray Wise, and Jordan Howard, Colleen Zenk. Phyllis is still suffering though, and hopes her nightmares stop soon. Sharon tells Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, that she thinks their kidnapper was a mental health professional because it seemed like a clinical experiment. Sharon said the kidnapper used them like lab rats with riddles to solve in life or death scenarios. Tracy also tells Sharon about her engagement. And she's very happy for her. But then things take a turn for Tracy when Sharon mentions the gas leak that almost killed them because Tracy recalls an alert on Alan's phone that mentioned a possible gas explosion. It's kind of a big coincidence. Sharon wonders if she and Phyllis should make an appointment to talk to Alan about their ordeal. Tracy makes an excuse and says he's in Paris on Young and the Restless. But things are percolating in her head. Sharon actually calls Alan her lucky charm for helping them figure things out and for Ian and Jordan being caught out. Later, Sharon joins Phyllis, Nick, and Summer over at Society after Tracy leaves. And Sharon tells Phyllis that she just can't make a fresh start until the bad guy is caught. Phyllis absolutely agrees. Sharon repeats her suggestion that they might want to have a session with Alan to talk things through since he's a shrink. Nick actually thinks it's a good plan. That is until they know he's the kidnapper. But I bet he'd be super excited to have them in therapy to hear the fallout of what he did to them. That would just be rewarding fake Alan for his bad behavior. Y&R spoilers. Victor schemes and young love. Nikki, Jack, Claire, and Kyle's dilemma. Jack surprises Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, as they chat at Society because he's actually not upset that Victor Newman, Eric Braden, took Chancellor from Billy. He just doesn't like the way that Victor went about it. Jack really wants Victor to back off of Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer. Nikki agrees. And she's very worried he's going to push their granddaughter away by making these demands and statements. Claire and Kyle decide to call in sick to work. And they stay in bed to canoodle and enjoy room service and romance at the GCAC. Claire texts Nikki and Kyle texts Jack about being sick. And those two are together when they get the text from Kyle and Claire. Of course, Jack and Nikki realize that the young people are playing hooky, but they are happy for them. Of course, they know Victor won't be. Tracy's panic and Alan's deception. Unraveling the truth on Young and the Restless. Tracy meanwhile calls Alan in Paris. And she makes an excuse for why she's not going to fly over to France just yet. Of course, she's freaking out. And Jack finds her at Crimson Lights, and then Tracy starts crying and tells Jack she might have made a huge mistake. Then on Thursday, March 27th, Tracy is in a full-blown panic as she fills in Jack. She tells him the info that she got from Sharon. That combined with the alerts on Alan's phone that seemed to align with the kidnapping ordeal. Remember Kyle talked to all of them about that too, just about the coincidences. Plus, Sharon thought it was a shrink that targeted them. That is what Alan is. Tracy tells Jack she's not sure her fiancé is who he says he is. But I don't think Tracy thinks that he is evil twin Martin. But she may think Alan is a kidnapper and tormentor who is not the nice guy she thought. Young and the Restless spoilers. Billy's secrets and Phyllis's vulnerability. A web of deceit and emotional turmoil. Billy loops Phyllis in on his plan. So he may tell her about Aristotle Dumas and the plan to topple Victor. Phyllis also has a breakdown in Billy's arms this week. She doesn't want anybody else to know. It seems Phyllis thinks Billy is the only one who can help her. And he might actually like that. Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope. Probably won't though. Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, hides what's really going on and tries to keep up appearances. I wonder if Jack tells her about Tracy's suspicions. Then Diane has to cover when talking to Phyllis or Sharon, or even Alan if he calls the house. Kidnapping threats and Victor's vendetta. What's coming up on Young and the Restless? Friday, March 28th. We're going to wrap up this week with Jack assuming that Tracy is in danger from her psycho fiancé. It looks like Alan is back to Genoa City soon and may want to tie up loose ends instead of tying the knot. He may target Tracy, Phyllis, and Sharon this time. I've had about enough kidnappings though. So I hope that head writer Josh Griffith hasn't decided that there needs to be one more like he did with his mental health stories all at once. He just seems to think if one is good 5 must be better when that's just not the case. Sally has some doubts about Billy on Friday. And it may concern Phyllis. Sally doesn't want to believe that Billy is getting closer to Phyllis, but this may also be about him not letting go of his vendetta against Victor. Billy's hiding a bunch of secrets from Sally. Victor leaves his family stunned. He may reveal his connection to Dumas, I don't know. Or he may just double down against Claire and Kyle and do something drastic, make ultimatums and threats. Young and the Restless spoilers. Sally's suspicions and Phyllis's nightmares. Spoilers for March 31st to April 4th. Going into the week of March 31st through April 4th, Sally has a suspicious eye on Billy. She may realize he is still chasing vengeance on Victor. With Billy confiding in Phyllis and not Sally, that's a big red flag that their fledgling romance is doomed. Courtney Hope did an interview about this and basically said that Sally's had her heart broken before. And she's kind of been through this with both Nick and Adam. And she's not necessarily signing on for it to happen again. Never runs short on chaos. But this week's Young and the Restless early scoop has the Abbott mansion spinning in full meltdown mode. Jack Abbott finds himself caught in a perfect storm. Betrayal, manipulation, and brotherly blunders. As Dr. Alan Lawrence's dark motive surface and Billy's impulsive choices threaten to tear Jabot apart once again. Jack's world unravels. When Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, thought he'd finally found some peace, balancing his marriage to Diane and stabilizing Jabot after months of corporate drama, he had no idea that his so-called ally, Dr. Alan Laurent, Christopher Cousins, was quietly scheming behind the scenes. At first, Alan seemed like the kind of calm, rational professional Jack could rely on during Ashley's mental health spiral. But now, new cracks begin to show. When Jack overhears a hushed phone call between Alan and an unknown contact, his instincts tell him something's deeply wrong. The words, "You'll get what you're owed once this is over," stop him cold. Jack's mind starts spinning. Is Alan manipulating Ashley? Could he have exaggerated her condition to gain influence or money? It's a terrifying thought. The last thing Jack wants is for his sister's vulnerability to become someone's leverage. So when he confronts Alan later in the Abbott living room, the gloves come off. "Who are you really working for, Alan?" Jack growls, his voice low and dangerous. Alan, all calm smiles and cold intellect, doesn't flinch. "Jack, you're letting your paranoia run wild again. Maybe you should focus on keeping your family together instead of chasing ghosts." That smug tone lights Jack's fuse. He's done being polite. This is no longer about therapy or trust. This is war. Diane's dilemma. Meanwhile, Diane, Susan Walters, watches from the sidelines, torn between loyalty and logic. She knows Jack's protective streak can turn obsessive, but something about Alan's cool demeanor gives her chills. When she catches Alan staring at a family photo of the Abbotts a little too long, her gut twists. Later, she confides in Jack. "I don't want to believe it," she admits softly. "But maybe you're right. Alan's hiding something." That moment of unity between Jack and Diane is rare and powerful. For a brief second, they're the team they always wanted to be. But their fragile alliance is about to be tested in the worst way possible. Billy's reckless power play. While Jack's tangled up in Alan's web, Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, is busy making another terrible business decision. After weeks of tension over Jabot's future, Billy secretly greenlights a risky investment, without Jack's approval. His pitch. "We need to evolve, Jack. I'm done waiting around for you to make safe choices while the market passes us by." But the problem is, Billy's evolution involves partnering with a dubious tech investor who's already been flagged by Devon and Lily as unstable. Billy's tunnel vision, his desperate need to prove himself, blinds him to the danger. When Jack finds out, the explosion is nuclear. "You went behind my back? Again?" Jack shouts, slamming the office door. "Do you ever stop sabotaging this family?" Billy's jaw tightens. "You don't get it, Jack. I'm not your employee. I'm your brother, and I'm tired of you treating me like a screw-up." The room goes silent for a long, painful beat. Then Jack, with fire in his eyes, says the one thing that hits Billy where it hurts. Maybe if you stopped acting like one, I wouldn't have to. It's a devastating blow. One that sends Billy straight into self-destruct mode. He storms out of Jabot, vowing to take his ideas elsewhere. But unbeknownst to him, Alan Laurent has been watching from the sidelines, his expression unreadable. Alan's true colors. Alan's charm has always masked something darker, but this week the facade starts to crumble. When Ashley, Eileen Davidson, questions a memory from her sessions, Alan quickly redirects her. Too quickly. His tone shifts, almost threatening. You're remembering wrong, he insists. You need to trust me, Ashley. I know what's best for you. But Ashley's no fool. When she secretly records their next conversation, she catches Alan admitting that keeping the Abbotts divided is the only way to finish what we started. Finish what exactly? That's the million-dollar question. By the time Ashley rushes to Jack with the recording, he's already on edge from Billy's betrayal. But when he hears Alan's voice plotting manipulation, Jack nearly loses it. His hands shake with fury. That man used my sister's trauma as a weapon, he snarls. And I let him into our home. Jack's ready to confront Alan head-on, but Diane stops him. You can't go in blind, she warns. If Alan's capable of this, he's dangerous. We need to be smart. The Abbott showdown. The confrontation everyone's been waiting for hits hard. Jack corners Alan at society, his voice cutting through the noise. You thought you could play the Abbotts, but you picked the wrong family. Alan's smile fades at last. You don't understand the forces at work here, Jack. This isn't about you. It never was. What forces? Jack demands. Who are you really working for? Alan just gives a cryptic smile. Let's just say, your father left behind more enemies than you realize. Jack's heart drops. Could this be connected to old Abbott business rivals? Or even something from John Abbott's hidden past? Alan's vague words open a door to a whole new mystery that could pull Genoa City's elite into chaos. When Alan leaves, his threat hangs heavy in the air. Jack knows this isn't over. If Alan's involved in something bigger, possibly corporate espionage or a vendetta linked to the Abbott legacy, the family's entire future is at stake.